First asylum seeker that was deported to Rwanda. I decided to accept the government's offer of £3,000 and 5 years guaranteed accommodations because it's a far better place than the UK. When I came on a boat to the UK, I was thinking that I'll get a better life. Rwanda is actually much more modern country. It has more opportunities for young people like me. To all other asylum seekers, do not hesitate and go back on the first flight to Rwanda. It's a better idea than staying in the UK. Just accept £3,000 and get on a flight. See you later, alligator.
This is Hope Hostel, where asylum seekers come into the UK who would then be sent to Rwanda would end up. Here in Hope Hostel, they have 50 rooms in total. They'll be met by security on entrance. The management say they can house up to 100 asylum seekers from the UK here. This building is completely empty at the moment though, just management staff, gardening staff, cooks, cleaners and security are here working every day, waiting for people to arrive. This is what one of the rooms look like. If an asylum seeker is sent here from the UK, they'd be staying in a room like this. 2 double beds, a Quran. You can see how big this place really is. It's absolutely ginormous. And the idea that management say about this place is that they want this hostel to feel like a home from home. They say they feel the pain that asylum seekers are having to go through, hence why there are places to wash your own clothes. They want it to feel like this is their place to live. Of course, they won't be here for long periods of time. That's the expectation. This is temporary accommodation whilst their asylum claims are being processed just outside.
The new illegal migration bill means that if you come here illegally, you will not be able to stay. You will be detained and then you will be swiftly removed to your own country if that's safe, or if it isn't, then a safe third country alternative like Rwanda. And we will make sure, like Australia and America, that if you've arrived here illegally, you will not ever be able to return. Once they know that, they will stop coming and we'll be able to stop the boats.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to Rwanda. Welcome to Rwanda. Welcome.
Hello everybody, my name is Kasia Balinska and I am from Polish Migrants Organized for Change Pomoc, and I am here to condemn the government's plan to offshore people who seek asylum in Britain to Rwanda. It is cruel, it is abhorrent, it is unsafe and it is financially nonsensical. And we all know that hostile environment is nonsensical in general and makes no financial sense whatsoever. It only brings suffering, it brings misery, and it only brings gain to those who benefit from the politics of divide and hate. And I think that Boris Johnson is looking for a smokescreen. I don't know about you, but I think he's looking for a smokescreen before the election coming up on the 5th of May. There is the local election coming up on the 5th of May. And local elections may not seem like much, but with the amount of seats to be re-elected across the country and in major cities, I think he's looking for a distraction. And here's the best bit. You don't need a British nationality to vote in the local elections. I'm not British and I'll be voting with pleasure for my local representatives. So, if you're a Commonwealth citizen or if you're an EU citizen, chances are that you are entitled to vote in the local elections on the 5th of May, and you can still register to vote by the end of today. Tell your friends, tell everybody to bring change to the power in this country. Britain has a duty to provide safety, dignity and stability to those seeking sanctuary. And I find it abhorrent that people seeking sanctuary who are single men are denied and denied their humanity and their vulnerability. This plan is a threat to families, to vulnerable torture survivors and LGBTQ migrant communities. And I see this narrative repeated across borders. I see this narrative repeated at the Poland-Belarus border as well, where the illegal pushbacks are continuing, and where single men are treated with the most cruelty. And I see the same institutional racism in Poland, when the government encourages communities to welcome refugees who are white and Eastern European, and criminalizes those who help and welcome black and brown refugees.
Shame!
And I would also like to say that this is a really insidious tactic of this government to be pitting one type of migrants against another. And I think we need to be better than them, and we need to see through their tactics. And we need to respond with solidarity. And the response of the British public to the Homes for Ukraine scheme has been amazing, and told us that there is will in this country to welcome people who are fleeing war. Now, I also want to point out one thing about this scheme, because I find it really quite insidious. We all know, we have all seen the images from the Bucha, and we've seen the massacres in Ukraine, and we know that Ukrainians should not be having to apply for visas. They should not be having to be looking for sponsors on Facebook groups and be made vulnerable to potential sex offenders. They should have every right to turn up in the country by any means available to them and claim asylum. Just like everybody else. And just like everybody else, they have every right to be expecting humane response from this government. And they should be provided dignity and safety and stability. Solidarity with everybody seeking sanctuary. Solidarity with all refugees from Ukraine to Eritrea, from Palestine to Sudan. All refugees welcome!
There's a rumour here that a young man from Syria has been detained in the immigration van, so they're trying to ask the officers if that's true.
I think there's a man in that side.
As we film, we learn that a man has been detained. He's not in the van, he's being held inside the centre. His name is Mohammed, and we managed to speak to him.
After that, they told us they will take us to Rwanda.
So they said they're going to take you to Rwanda?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You must be very frightened.
We are very scared now.
Mohammed told me he's originally from Syria, where he'd escaped the war. He says he's been living in shared accommodation in Nottingham and turned up this morning for what he thought would be a routine appointment. So when you came to sign, what happened?
They told me we want to give you some paper and take me inside.
Yeah.
After that, there's a policeman. After that, they took my phone and my everything.
Yeah.
And they put me in the room. Very scared.
Mohammed told me he isn't alone. He's being held with 3 others, 2 from Iran and 1 Afghanistan. He told me he'd come to the UK via a boat across the channel and that he had received a letter from the Home Office telling him he's liable for removal. We couldn't confirm what had happened, as the Home Office told us it'd be inappropriate to comment on operational details.
Which airlines are actually going to be deporting asylum seekers to Rwanda? Because the Rwanda bill has passed and no one's actually sure, even though flights are supposedly taking off in July. Rishi Sunak has said he isn't going into any operational details, but he did say that an airfield is already on standby, with commercial charter planes booked. Remember, several airlines have already pulled out of being part of the operation for fears of negative press. But it's now reported that the government's air partner, Air Tanker, is set to be the chosen one. In January 2023, they said they had no intention of operating flights to Rwanda. But fast forward to now, and it's... So as much as we'd love to be able to confirm, the airline isn't responding to requests for comment.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल एंड गुड आफ्टरनून। दोस्तों, कैसे हैं आप? मैं उम्मीद करता हूं जी आप सब अच्छे होंगे। ये असाइलम के हवाले से ये जितना जो पैनिक इस वक्त फैला हुआ है कि जी के नेक्स्ट 3 to 12 वीक्स के बाद जो है रवांडा के जहाज़ जेडे ने खड़े हैं और रवांडा जो है रीलोकेट किया जाएगा। सो उसमें बहुत से लोगों के माइंड में ये सवाल है कि जी कि किन लोगों को जो है वो रवांडा भेजा जाएगा। देखिए, जो लोग लीगली तौर पे एंटर हुए हुए हैं यूके में, लेट्स से जैसे कोई स्पाउस वीज़ा पे आया या स्टूडेंट वीज़ा पे आया या उसके बाद स्किल्ड वर्कर वीज़ा पे आया, और यहाँ जो उनकी ऐसी सिचुएशन हो गई बाद में कि जी कि उन्होंने असाइलम क्लेम कर दिया, तो उनको जो है रवांडा मूव ये नहीं कर रहे हैं। ये सिर्फ उनको कर रहे हैं जो इलीगल एंट्रेंट थे, जो बग़ैर डॉक्यूमेंट्स के जो है बोट्स के ज़रिए या बाकी किसी न किसी तरीके से यूके में एंटर हुए, ये उनको करेंगे। बाकी जो लोग हैं जो लीगल एंट्रेंट हैं उनका केस बाकायदा चलेगा, और अगर खुदा न खास्ता अगर उनकी रिफ्यूज़ल हो जाती है केसेस की, तो फिर ये है कि वो उनको वॉलंटियर तौर पे अगर वो पूछेंगे कि जी अगर आप अपनी खुशी से जो है रवांडा रीलोकेट होना चाहते हैं तो वो होंगे। अदरवाइज़ ऑब्वियसली जिस वक्त वो फेल्ड असाइलम सीकर हो जाएंगे या उसके बाद उनके पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं बचेगा, तो फिर ऑब्वियसली वो उनको रवांडा करेंगे। लेकिन फ़िलहाल जो है ये जिनके पेंडिंग केसेस हैं या जिनकी इस तरह की सिचुएशन है, ये उनको ये नहीं है कि आपका केस अभी चल रहा है, आप लीगल एंट्रेंट थे, आपका केस भी चल रहा है, तो वो फौरी तौर पे आपको पकड़ेंगे और जो है वो वहाँ पे रीलोकेट कर देंगे। बहुत से लोग डरे हुए हैं, रिपोर्टिंग पे नहीं जा रहे हैं, वो कहते हैं जी कि हम रिपोर्टिंग पे गए तो हमें वहाँ पे डिटेन कर लेंगे, या हमारा अगर असाइलम का इंटरव्यू आ रहा है तो हम असाइलम के इंटरव्यू पे नहीं जाएंगे, ये ना हो कि हमें वहाँ पे डिटेन कर लें या कुछ ऐसा हो। सो बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है। अगर आपके केसेस चल रहे हैं तो अपने केस की तरफ तवज्जो कीजिए, जो भी उसकी एविडेंसेस हैं, जो भी आपका केस है उसकी तरफ फोकस कीजिए। इसी टॉपिक के ऊपर मैं बहुत तफसील से फिर किसी दिन वीडियो करूँगा यूट्यूब के चैनल बारी लॉ एसोसिएट्स के ऊपर। दुआ में याद रखिएगा। टेक केयर, बाय फॉर नाउ।